Good morning. Is this on? Yes. Okay, now I can hear. Welcome to our annual Mission and Ministry Festival. I'm wondering if we need to make more of a festival out of it. But we'll see. That's something for the next MMD to look at. But for this morning, we're going to start with a devotion from Pastor. He's coming. He's doing double duty right now. Oh, what do you need?
Oh, good Lord. I need not to stand there. Whew. All right. Hopefully, I'm still in frame back there. This should be fine. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
There we go. So for a little devotion to open it up, just looking at 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 17. Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. The old has passed away. Behold, the new has come. And so, thought about that for looking ahead here at Ascension, because this is it's a verse that oftentimes we all struggle with, that being a new creation. I woke up today, I did not feel like a new creation. As I creaked my way upstairs to brush my beard out so I can barely look presentable to do a morning prayer. It was like creak, 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 and I look in the mirror and it's like, oh, this is not a new creation at all. But Paul said I'm a new creation, so I'm a new creation. So I say, okay, fine. Obviously, Paul was speaking spiritually. We are a new creation. Of course, we will not see the new creation physically, unfortunately, until the resurrection. So we got a little ways to go for that. But spiritually, obviously, we are made new in him. Though we are still sinners, though we still look affected by sin, though we still feel the effects of sin, we are truly new creations in Jesus Christ. He has forgiven us, redeemed us. He has made us new. So this is a wonderful thing, and yet it's still hard to deal with that and to see it and then to live in it. And so thinking about looking ahead to what we're going to be doing here at Ascension, what we've been doing, and really we don't have those issues about we don't look like a new creation, we don't feel like a new creation, because truly we do here look like a new creation. And I don't know about you, but I feel very much a lot of exciting things going on here. God has blessed us so richly over the last few years, this last year especially. And I wanted to share with you something that happened, or something I heard, as I was meeting with a couple visitors a few weeks back. So we were talking and getting to know them a little bit, and asked, well, what drew you to Ascension? What made you feel like you wanted to be a part of this? I didn't say why would you do it? I was just genuinely interested. Sometimes it can come across like, why? But no, I just want to know. And so they said that certainly the welcoming, friendly atmosphere, so good on you guys. Everyone who has ever been here has said this is one of the most welcoming, accepting churches that they've ever been to. Second was just the general atmosphere, our worship space, the music, our worship. It sounds silly to say, but it feels like church. It's like this is what church is supposed to be. So that was awesome. But the third thing that they said, which kind of took me by surprise, was it was just so good to be in a church where there are so many young families. Wow. Because I remember when we got here, and I had my first children's message with maybe 4 kids, and 3 of them were mine. And there was such a feeling of we have kids again. Yay, we finally, all right, this is great. We've turned a corner. And then you look back at the past 6 months, and we've had kids spilling over the chancel area, literally. It's been great. It's been fantastic. God has been doing so much and is pouring his blessings upon us. And it's not just the younger kids and the families, but old, new, young, whatever. We've been bringing a lot of people in, and we've been growing in visitors. It's been absolutely wonderful. not only that, so not only do we look like a new creation, I mean, this is a new look for Ascension, but what I have witnessed in people who have been more willing to go outside their comfort zones lately. I've been here for 4 years, and finally people are starting to be comfortable enough to come to me during the week, like not even after church, but they'll like call and make appointments to come talk to me. This is happening quicker than I thought it would. Usually there's a long period of kind of getting used to the new guy, getting comfortable, building up that trust. And this past year, I've had more and more people coming to, for spiritual counsel, for encouragement, for whatever it is. That's been growing. We've had people from the outside of the congregation who come in via events to share something with me about how members of the congregation have been a blessing to them, and how Ascension has been a blessing to them through that relationship. And it's just truly amazing how just this feeling of being a new creation. And I'm here all the time, so maybe you don't experience that like I do, but trust me, it is there. So God has been doing amazing things. He has truly made us all a new creation, certainly through Jesus Christ, but in a very kind of boots on the ground sense, here and now, in ways that we can see and that we can feel. So today we're going to celebrate that. We're going to look back and see all the things God has done. We're going to look ahead. We're going to discuss how to do things. Quite often when we're in church, we do things the same way that we've always done them. We're a new creation. We have a completely demographic than we had 4 years ago, than we had 2 years ago. There is so much different about us now, and that has to be reflected in the things we do, the things that we plan, the way we plan. So even things like our Mission and Ministry Festival, we might talk about that, either maybe bring it up today or in the MMD meetings. Maybe we need to do this differently to engage better with the group of people that we have. But there are so many opportunities we have, and this is going to be a great time just to think about that, talk about it, plan, and rejoice in it. So please join me in prayer. Heavenly Father, I thank you so very much that you have brought us all into this place to be the body of Christ here. That you have gifted Ascension with so many incredible blessings. First and foremost, the blessing of your Son, Jesus Christ, that we are able to come here and receive him weekly, daily even, to be forgiven, to be redeemed, to know without a shadow of doubt that we are a new creation in you. Bless us in this time. Use this time so that we might have a good and fruitful discussion about the things that we've done, the things that we'd like to do, the things that we can do, and discussion about the things that we don't think we can do but we want to do, and how we'll make that happen through you. We are just so grateful and blessed that you have poured out so much of your blessings upon us. Continue to keep us in your mercy and your grace, and may this time be fruitful and a time of glorifying you as we seek to do in all things. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right.
All right. Next is our slideshow. So I am going to sit down so that I can see the slides and give you a little bit of narration with that. And we'll go ahead and start that show. All right, so the theme for this festival is Give Thanks. And Pastor has already talked about some of those ways we give thanks. But we're going to go ahead and look at it through pictures. Go ahead. It's not working. Okay. Rejoice always, pray without ceasing, give thanks in all circumstances, for this is the will of God in Christ Jesus for you. That's from 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verses 16 through 18. So one of the ways that we give thanks is for our growth in faith through worship, the sacraments, Bible study, Christian education. We're all familiar with this, our beautiful sanctuary. And of course, we have some of the people. Front and center, of course, is our pastor, who does an excellent job of leading us in our worship. This is a little bit of a picture of the children's sermon that Pastor was talking about. So you see, we went from, on the right there, that was right after COVID, and we were back in the church, and what you see there are most of the kids who were up there. And then we had a few more, some of them were older, and then the older kids kind of quit going up. And look at the little ones that our church has now. We have more kids, like Pastor said. When we have visitors and all of the parents come, that place is full, even more so than that. I think this is self-explanatory. And we had 2 baptisms, of course, this year. Alex Phillips and Mina Ford. The children's program, this is another example of how many children we have. And you see all of the parents back there, they're holding their little kids. Some of them are shepherds, some of them are lambs, some of them are angels. And they all get to participate no matter how old. We had, I believe, our youngest was about, 7 months at that point. And our older teenagers were the narrators. Just some of the back scenes looks. Yes, there were grandchildren, and yes. Mm-hmm. That's right. Yes. Yeah, I couldn't resist putting that in. She takes her acting very seriously, even though she couldn't be an alligator. That's a kind of an inside story. Miss Mary one day, the first time that she participated, told them they could be whatever they wanted to be. And she meant shepherd, angel, sheep, and of course, Taylor? Anyway, she said she wanted to be an alligator. But she's very good at being a shepherd. Some of the things we didn't have pictures of course, are our Sunday school for children and adults. We have a small group Bible study on Mondays. We have a Wednesday evening Bible study. We have a Thursday afternoon Bible study. Our morning devotions. There's a prayer, what are we calling it? I forget. Yeah, on Sunday nights. So we have a lot of opportunities, and as far as I'm aware, they're all very well attended. The morning devotions sometimes get, by the time they've been out there a week, maybe, they're getting 30 to 50 views. So that is one of our really important outreaches. Okay, the next way that we give thanks is for all of us and the fellowship that we have with each other. So we have our after-service coffee, we have Lenten soup suppers, we have our Easter breakfast and our harvest dinner. We fold palm crosses before Palm Sunday. There's an Easter egg hunt, family game nights, men's and women's venue. We have a youth group. We actually have one. And the women go to a retreat at Camp Arcadia. This was this year's palm cross folding. So not only did we fold the crosses, but the children made resurrection gardens. And we had the egg hunt. Beautiful weather, so they were able to go outside and look for eggs. We had our Easter breakfast, very well attended. There were more than just the three of you, right? No, just the three of you went to Camp Arcadia this year? Okay.
But there were a lot more women.
Right, right. Yeah, right.
There's a meadery we went to.
Yeah.
It's absolutely beautiful there, you guys. If anybody, it's so worth going. It's wonderful. We had on the left there is we had the Sunday worship service right on the lake with that cross. That's Lake Michigan behind us. And it's just wonderful.
Okay, go on. All right, another way that we give thanks is by being of service to each other as well as to our community. And so some of these are things more within our church, but some of them reach out to the community as well. We had our first tailgate party. Trunk or treat, I think this made the third one that we'd had. We started a parents' night out. The children did a service project this fall, and we have the giving tree. And there are other things that happen, like right now the Women of Ascension are collecting underwear and socks. So there are other things that do happen as a service. Go ahead. For it is all for your sakes, so that as grace extends to more and more people, it may increase thanksgiving to the glory of God. 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 15. And that passage actually goes on in the next verse to talk about how even though on the outside we feel drained, spiritually doing these things fills us up. So we had our tailgate party, we had a band, games, face painting. Apparently there were cheers during the game. Well, you know.
Mary won the Spirit Award.
There was another picture of Mary, but my husband was in it and he didn't want to be on the screen here, so. Trunk or treat. This year we had a couple who came and made balloon animals for the kids. That was great. And there was some, wasn't actually face painting, was it tattoos? But there was that for the kids as well as going to all of the cars. And that's mostly a community outreach type of activity.
There were lots of kids, too.
Yes. And this is a quick look at Parents' Night Out, some of the things that have gone on. In the middle there you see the spa night for the little girls. they were really excited about spa night, and they watched Frozen while they had their makeovers. In the upper right there, that was the most recent night out, and Linda brought plants, pansies, and the kids potted pansies to give to their mothers. And on the left here, we have some of the new relationships that are forming in Parents' Night Out. In the very back, you can see Nathan and little Ari, who was not happy to be at Parents' Night Out in the beginning. But he has made a new friend, and they are best buds. And he's a different little boy when he comes to church. He's much more outgoing now. And so those are the kinds of friendships that can develop in a church when you have an activity.
Who is that? I can't tell. Nathan and Ari.
Ari are in the back. Yes. Right. Yeah. Right. The reason they're looking up is they were playing a game about turning the light on and off. We have our youth group. They take care of the trunk or treat. So here we see them putting together some goodie bags for the trunk or treat. During the summer, they went bowling, and apparently there's an arcade attached to that bowling center. They did a fundraiser at Easter where they stuffed plastic eggs and took them to people's houses who had purchased eggs. So, and I know they meet monthly, is that correct? Or at least they try to. Yeah. Okay, and I'm not exactly sure what this project was called. Kelly set it up, but it's a program that the police do when they have parents come in to the station for official reasons. Maybe they need to take a statement from them or question them about something, and they've brought their children with them. They have these backpacks of activities that they give the kids so that they have something to do while their parents are busy. And the Sunday school collected things to put in those backpacks, and they stuffed them up, and Kelly took them and delivered them to the police station. And of course, we can't forget our facility. Not only is it an absolutely beautiful facility, and we take care of it, it's a lot of work to take care of a building this large, but we've also been working on some upgrades which help with our ability to reach people, not only our own congregants who for whatever reason cannot attend in person, but also to people throughout the country and even throughout the world. So we did two things this year that I think were kind of major. One was that the organ was having some issues, and we found someone who was able to repair it as opposed to replace it. And so we repaired the organ, and it was sounding beautiful. By Christmas, I believe, we had the full function of the organ back. And then the audio upgrade that we put in, and it does a wonderful job. It's a lot better for hearing everyone through the service. Go ahead to the next. And so this is, okay, there's Pastor at our new setup for our live streaming where we do the video and the audio comes through there and is controlled there. We can't say enough about Paul and thanking him for doing everything that he does. I think right there, are you just changing the clock?
No, I'm just relaxing.
I don't see the clock up there. I think that's in your hand. We're probably changing every clock in the church because the time change had happened. But Paul keeps everything going. As a matter of fact, just this morning, did you get a doorbell alert? Is that how you?
Camera, we have a video on iPads. You can see the church cameras. Cam happened to be watching that when a man pulled up.
Right. The delivery person with the bouncy house was early. And there was no one here, and he called me, and I said, well, it's going to be about 15 minutes. But by the time I got here, Paul was here, and they were already unloading. So, and Carolyn has been working on making sure that we park in the places that we're supposed to park. We got kind of lazy, I think, when we started parking there for Bible study, and it just kind of kept going. But all of these things, they seem small sometimes, but they're important parts of keeping our church running. And that's the end of our slideshow. All right. Do you have the mission and ministry plan from the slide for that? Well, he's looking for that. What we're going to put up has not been well publicized, and it's going to be put on the bulletin board from now on. But this is the purpose of this meeting, this activity. I guess I shouldn't call it a meeting. It's really not supposed to be a meeting. Is to begin planning for the coming church year. We go with a fiscal year now, and we want to plan all activities. He thought he could access Base Camp from here, but apparently it's not on his computer. You have, oh no, not that one. This is the actual mission and ministry plan. Jesus Saves, I think. Is that the... Nathan's having trouble getting on the Wi-Fi. What? Password. Oh, right. Got changed. ALCEL 2019.
Does anybody have a joke or a funny story they would like to share?
Yeah, Mary, you got any funny stories?
No, I'm sure I do, but I'm sure everyone's like,
I wonder, can we possibly, somebody email a copy of this to Nathan? He can probably get to it that way. Well, it's kind of hard to talk about it if you don't have it. Because I don't remember. Yeah, I think so.
Does it open or download it?
There you go. That's it. Mhm. Now we just need to get it on the screen. We located the document. Yeah, on the right. Just do that one. Okay, well, let me sit behind Nathan then and just look at it. Okay, can you make it bigger so I can see it from here? I know. All right, so in the area of worship, we call it personal growth. We, of course, had our Sunday worship. Ushers, it says that we needed to review and revise, but I don't think we got to that this year. Altar Guild, I believe several new members several new people have volunteered to be on the Altar Guild, and now I can't read it. There we go. We have our Advent services, our Lent services, Sunday school, all of the Bible studies I already mentioned, choir, handbells, the Zoom prayer group. We had our second Ascension Day service. That would be something, I think maybe advertising needs to be upped on that. Yes, we did. We have our youth group, the couples evening event. I don't think that actually what was in everyone's mind. I don't believe that actually happened. And we did not have a women's workshop this year or a women's Bible study, but those were all things that people were interested in, so we'll need to take a look as to whether we want to continue those or to remove them from the list and put something else if we have other ideas. Can you bring it down just a little bit? There we go. Okay, life enrichment. We had the Easter breakfast, the Easter egg hunt. I was going to say, I don't think we had a church picnic this year. A harvest dinner. We have had church picnics in the past. We have our after-service coffee, our Lent soup suppers, men's and women's venue. The photo board is coming along. We had the tailgate party. Of course, we have our Mission and Ministry Festival. And the cradle roll, I actually have talked to somebody who would do that, but we have not ordered material. What? Okay, a cradle roll is where you keep track of the babies when they're born, and there are materials on parenting and teaching your kids spirituality and just, keeping up with the children and the parents, usually from birth until like maybe 5. Yes.
It's,
Mhm.
it's, they did it in the past, years ago, my kids had it, and it was, they mailed something with all the materials. Oh, sorry. So it was, I can't remember the lady that was in charge of it. Has passed away a long time ago. But, yeah, we would get all these packets with stuff in it. So the church, I think it's organized by the church, right, Pastor?
Yes, normally it is. But
Concordia or whatever.
right,
Yeah.
right. They're materials that are purchased and right. Now, I know a lot of the parents, they're on their second or third child, but we do still have some young ones. And as Pastor said, that sector of our church is growing. So it probably is something we should still consider. Going on. Community enrichment. We did the giving tree, the trunk or treat. We partner, I don't know that we partnered so much with Women of Ascension, but they're still working on outreach opportunities. We did not do a VBS action team. And rides for shut-ins, I think that would just mostly need somebody to coordinate it so that if someone does need a ride, they know who to contact.
I think the VBS action team too, we talked about, I don't know what this was through, but I don't know where Heather went. Oh, we talked about potentially having a VBS, and then we decided that it was just too much, and we would instead, the action team, anyone that wanted to would volunteer at other VBSs. And so you'd still take part, and the kids could, and actually Marion Hart helped at her granddaughter's. I went to one in St. John's, and so hopefully this year, I think St. Luke's has one. So if they need volunteers, that will be, we talked about that being what we would do instead of having our own VBS.
And just to piggyback on that, I already have information from St. Luke, First Lutheran in Charlotte, and one other one, I forget which one exactly, but I have already in discussions with those leaders to be able to filter our volunteers to them, and they are very excited and looking forward to having the extra hands.
Thank you, Mary. That is what that was.
Yes.
Okay, and resource development, regular maintenance. We have use by outside groups. Lansing Matinee Musicale is still using our facility at this point. We have a lot of violin and piano recitals coming from that group, from some of the women who are teachers. We have the homeschool group uses it. The driver's ed uses our parking lot. The Coptic church uses our chapel. And the Renaissance singers came to the church through Matinee Musicale and liked it so much that they came back for another presentation. So many times when we have an outside group, it kind of spawns extra activities.
And the Women of Ascension are the the Women of Ascension are actually who, through Rebecca, they set up for all of us to volunteer. So a lot of people volunteer to help work these events through Women of Ascension. So, which is a big outreach too.
Okay, and lawnmower was on there, and we did. We got a new lawnmower. So I noticed that the sign-up sheet for lawn mowing is in the narthex if you're interested. Okay, so at this point, what I'd like to do is just a blank page, and let's start taking ideas. Yes, Nathan's going to get a blank page up here, and he'll type them in. I'll mention it, and I think let's use it for people who come up with ideas. Yeah, right. Okay, I'm going to start, actually. With a project that actually is in the works, and that is that we had a donation for a new playground set, and so we are working on a playground beautification and safety activity. And activity is not really the right word, although that's what Kelly really wants, is people to help. But one of the big things that we need out there is a fence, because it's not a real safe area to put the kids in at this point. The other thing that would help is some sidewalks, but this is almost a whole church kind of thing, that we look at the sidewalks and we go, well, you know, over here where there's handicap parking, there's not a sidewalk that goes to the end of the handicap parking. There's not a sidewalk that comes from the parking over by the playground to this part of the church. In the front of the church, we have a sidewalk that's only about 3 feet wide, so really 2 people can barely walk down it at the same time. So there are several places where we could do some concrete work and would be helpful, but not absolutely necessary to the playground at the beginning. But we do want to put down, I guess, playground improvement maybe is the way to put that. All right. I think we're going to need I do have my helper with a microphone. Great. So Miss Mary over here, she had her hand up.
So I just want to make sure that this gets put on there again, the VBS thing, that
Okay.
that VBS, we will not be having a VBS, but we will, how do I say it, you know, volunteer
Okay.
at other VBSs. I'd like to make sure that stays on.
Okay. What if we called it, instead of VBS Action Team, a VBS Volunteer Team?
That's fine, yep.
And then that would remind us that that's what we're actually doing, is volunteering at
And then,
outside VBS.
I don't know if this is the time to talk about the form.
Let's wait until we've taken all of these ideas, and then we'll bring it up.
Perfect.
Okay.
Okay.
Miss Alex.
I just was reminded of this because I now and then have to search around and make sure that I have a ride home from an appointment where I cannot drive myself home. And maybe that's just from being a single person, but if you don't happen to have neighbors, or I reach into the church family, and that's been a help, but it also is an awareness point.
Okay. So the rides to church for shut-ins could be expanded to rides for other things if we have church members who need assistance. Okay. Any other ideas, things you want to do?
I'd like to get something going. I think the MMD has brought it up before. Landscaping around the church.
Okay,
There's a lot of bushes that need to be replaced. It doesn't need to be done in 1 year if we take a section at a time.
okay,
Perhaps get a hold of a landscaping architect first,
okay,
have him do the whole church, and then
Right.
go from there.
okay. So landscaping. We've also discussed, and that may be part of that, doing something with the patio area. So that might be something that goes along with that, or it could be separate. Mary,
I have a couple things. One thing is to potentially this summer, it may be late, but to have a family night with maybe, it'd be, instead of VBS, it would be like a get-together. It would be a, I don't know, not just a game night, but to have it be a spiritually enlightening family night. So it would, anyway, yeah, that was one idea. And
Okay.
then, yeah.
I know we, our mom group has kind of talked about doing like one of our parents' nights, but having the parents stay to kind of get to know each other better.
okay,
It'd be nice to officially do that.
okay.
So,
Pass it back. There we go.
On the third bullet point, would you just edit that? It's rides to church and personal needs.
Right. And what Aaron said, Nathan, was that the parents are thinking that they would like to have some kind of an event where they stay at the church for Parents' Night Out, but that they're not responsible for their kids. They want to meet together as adults and have an adult night. That's a separate one from the family night that Mary was talking about. Mary was talking about, but more of a, yeah, more, right, more a one evening type of replacement for Bible, for Vacation Bible School, for VBS. Yes, there you go. That's great. Yeah. Okay, Caitlin.
I think we should have like more involvement with Camp Concordia, because well, my dad's on the board now, so he kind of knows like what they need, and so we could like do fundraisers for them. I know my mom had an idea that she was working with Christine last year about like buying a freezer for them, because there's a lot that needs updated. So I think it'd be kind of cool to
Okay.
like have like little service events there too.
Okay, so Camp Concordia fundraiser or volunteer event, because it could be either, right?
I also think now, Women of Ascension does this a lot, but, and maybe we could use that as, that they do that through Ascension Lutheran, but it'd be nice to have another, like, a reach out, an outreach, like, you know, the grain, or the orphan grain train, is that what it's called? I call it wrong. Something like that that the church can support. I don't know if we want to just do that through Women of Ascension, because they do a lot, but I think we need to do some outreach stuffing. The Camp Concordia fundraiser is wonderful, but that one time you also had that backpack thing. Remember how
Right,
you
and
did
and that was the same group that we did the towel kits for.
And Kelly, she's come up with some really great ideas that she just runs with it, and then the church
Right.
supports it. So I think
So just more outreach.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Okay, Kelly, he's coming with a microphone.
So I know a lot of churches and places have, oh, okay. I know a lot of churches and places have food pantry, like a whatever, which I think is great, but I thought maybe we could have like a supply pantry type thing. So, because I know around this area, there are a lot of people that have, I'm sure, needs for like toothpaste and deodorant and toilet paper and things like that. So, I mean, if people don't want to do it, that's fine. But I think we have a very easy parking lot to drive through, and people could access those things who are in need. Diapers, wipes, I mean.
Right. Okay, so like a hygiene product pantry.
Yeah.
Do we know like a specific group, or do we just
No.
advertise it?
Advertise? I don't know. Or like, there's a community Facebook pages, you could put it on there and say it's an option for people. That's usually where I see it, is on the Mason, well, because I grew up in Mason and we live in Williamston, so those are the ones that I know of, but.
Right,
but I
okay.
don't know.
Yes, I've got two.
Okay, Laura.
So the parents' night in, I'm not sure who said that. Was that, okay, good, because I did talk to other parents, and they thought that would be a cool idea, and we can get to know each other, because there's, like, I don't know Beth and Tyler very well. Like, okay, see, I think that would be an awesome idea to be able to just do that together. So, and I've had a couple people say that they're interested in that. And then I'm gonna plan on doing a chili cook-off in the fall. Yeah, I think we'll do that as a coffee service instead. Like, instead of coffee, we'll do a chili cook-off.
Okay.
Ooh, or the tailgate party. Yeah, I'd like to do tailgate. Church picnic.
Okay, so we want to keep those two things definitely.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Somebody take this from me.
I'm maybe getting ahead of myself on this, but youth group was like the best thing growing up, and as my kids are growing up, I would like to have a really awesome youth group going here. I don't know, I feel like we need to get more people involved in the youth group other than just the parents of the youth. I would be happy to volunteer a movie night at my house. That way you don't have to pay for the theater. We have a pretty cool setup. But, I mean, I don't know how to say that, but like get more of the church involved with the youth, basically.
Okay.
Or no, even the teenagers. Like, even I'd like to, like, I would like to do more with them. I mean, my life's kind of busy right now with young children, but like, I mean, now's the time. I mean, even for my kids, now's the time to get it going so that we have a good program in place when they reach that age,
I would say.
and church involvement in it.
Encourage participation in youth activities. Okay, Mary and then Heather.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I like the idea, too, that we didn't do this year, but I'd like to do it, is the women's
What was that we were going to do? Heather, wasn't that you or Pastor that we were going to have? Remember how we had that one thing, that lady come and do the visual ministry?
Yes.
Well, I'd like to do, that was fun.
Okay, well, to piggyback on that, one of the reasons, yeah, I think one of the reasons we don't have those kinds of things is that the acoustics in the gym are so bad.
I have after we're done with other comments, I will address that.
Okay, all right, so we'll leave that off at this point because we are going to address it. Heather.
Is this on? Okay. Just circle back to the youth stuff. Thank you for saying that we need help, because yes. So just so everybody knows the ages that we're currently having, is that we in the beginning of this fall, we will have 3 high school students that come regularly for, okay, that would be 6 that are very sporadic, but we have 3 solid high schoolers. Middle schoolers, if we consider 6th grade a middle schooler, because it's just kind of a funny age gap, then we will have 3. Yeah, we have 3, with a bonus one from Martin Luther Chapel occasionally. So those are the numbers we're looking at and the ages that we're looking at, and then we have this like massive gap between those kids and then like early elementary. So the challenge there is that our middle schoolers are young and our high schoolers are old, and there is a huge discrepancy of maturity between those two. Also, minor wrinkle, 4 of them are siblings. So, and they're mine, which means that they need another adult in their life, because I can't be everything to these children at this point. You know, they do need to form adult relationships that aren't me. So I'm currently kind of a placeholder right now. Fran has stepped in to help me with planning, and I hear that she's super cool and is well loved by the teenage girls especially. Oh, I think that they would love to hear some teenage stories about both of you. So that is our current situation. We are trying to form relationships with other churches in the area. That has been a massive challenge, but it's one that we're working through. So that's our current state of events, whoever wants to hop in and help with that.
I'll just add, we have encouraged them to bring friends, and some of them do that periodically, and others, like mine, have not been comfortable to do that, but we're working on it. But it's usually a small, manageable group, really, you know. So if you felt like taking the youth to a movie, like, that would be great. They're all pastors' kids. Of course they're good at Bible trivia. Yeah.
Anybody else? Okay, Pastor.
All right. Okay, hold on. And to the Bible trivia, actually it's surprising because all the trivia we do at home is like 80s movies and we do all that stuff, yeah. Cartoons, whatnot, you know, stuff that I know about. So this is awesome with a lot of these ideas about things to do and fantastic, loving it. Now, of course, being here, it's always a challenge when we have, you know, everybody who has desires to do things and we need to do stuff. And then there's me who's here all the time. And I have a lot of time to think about these things and kind of thinking ahead and sort of this big idea of what's going on, what can we do? And so there's been a few things happening lately that's kind of coalesced. The timing has been very interesting, almost, you'd say, a God thing, if you will. In that the playground equipment that was donated kind of, well, actually, even before that, Kelly came with this idea of doing some playground improvements to creating that space as a more usable area, fencing it in, having it just a more engaging place for the kids. Completely unrelated to that, all of a sudden we got the Maynard, Erica and Jan Maynard wanted to donate new playground equipment, like at the same time that I'm having these discussions. Like, wow, how coincidental is that? And we're talking about all this stuff, and then at the same time we're now experiencing with our growth, you know, and we experimented with moving the coffee into the gym because we are getting space limited. And you know, we have a great space back there, but it is limited. And you know, we want more people to stay. We want visitors to stay, right? But honestly, we do need more space. It's kind of like we can be 80% full in the pews, and that's where we'll stay because that is, the perception is that is full. You know, even though we could say, oh, there's plenty more room to seat, generally conventional wisdom is you're not going to grow more than that because people are just going to see it and they might be here and be like, ooh, it's too, So at that point, you have to look into like, well, how can we expand? So a similar thing with this, with our fellowship time. So the idea being we need to move into the gym at some point. This space just can't hold us all. Fantastic. It's a great problem. Well, there's a problem with that. The acoustics are crazy in there. I've blown out my eardrums from heavy metal, so this is partially me. I can't hear anything in there. So if we do coffee in there, likely, for the time being, I will not be around to talk to you. I will be hiding in my office. Come talk to me there, because then I could hear you. The kids, that is a space that they have right now to run around in. Get out all that energy, because they're here for an hour for Sunday school. They're told to be quiet, sit still. They're here for an hour after that for church, where they're told to be quiet, sit still. Now they've got all this nervous energy and their snacks, and they need to go run it out. And if we move into the gym, we take over that space. So it's like, well, now we're enclosing the playground where we can have an opportunity for them to go play outside. Now, granted, for the better weather, it's going to be great. For poorer weather, well, we can still ship them outside. Just make sure they're bundled up. Kids play in the snow all the time, right? I mean, there will be times where they can't go outside. This is just an issue we're going to have. But by and large, we can figure out ways where we can get them outside into this new play area. We can cover it if need be, if that helps, whatever. There's all sorts of ideas. But if we look at this in my brain, phase one is this getting the playground ready. It's not just for the kids, it's for us having a chance to go into the gym for our fellowship. Gym for fellowship, we need soundproofing in there, big time. Not only for our fellowship, but for our events. When we had our Visual Faith Ministry workshop, it was amazing. Hard to hear. She had a portable pack with a microphone, and which helped. Like, you could definitely hear she was talking. Again, bad ears. I had to really focus and concentrate to understand what she was saying. I'm like, just because the noise was bouncing off. So, looking at this, like maybe the second phase of this is bringing it and kind of not revamping the gym, but making it more of a multi-purpose room. So that's still a gym, still usable as a gym for playing around, whatever, but also has soundproofing, has the whatever we need in there to make it more fellowship friendly too. Which then dovetailed into some ideas about how to use some of our memorial funds. Well, we're not going to talk about that right now, but we do have memorial funds that we can tap into. And there are ways that I'm thinking about approaching these families. If this kind of idea of a master plan is one that we're all liking, I can pursue that because I've got an idea of how that works and who actually would kind of be attached to that. Going into our courtyard, I've got a grand idea for that too. It's not only to make that space usable for us for outside fellowship, but even having maybe a little prayer garden in there as well. I'm trying to really focus our efforts on, all right, if we're going to do stuff here facility-wise, if we're going to put money into capital improvements, I would love for it to be more than just capital improvements. I mean, there are some things like, I would say air conditioners are more than just capital improvements, those were necessities, and that affects everything. So not that per se, but just that the things we do, there are improvements that we would like to do that are just kind of like, you know what, these are comfort things. I know sometimes my sliding glass door in the office gets Like, wouldn't it be nice if that actually opened? Because right now, it's basically a sliding glass door that is impossible to open. It was put in wrong. If there's an emergency in my office and I have to get out the window, I'm breaking it. That's the only way out. So it's like, wouldn't it be great to have, it's like, you know what? I don't care. I don't need my sliding glass. It's fine. If it would be nice to have it functional, but for me, it's not that big of a deal. I would rather pour that money into like soundproofing. So then the courtyard, making that usable for our space, but prayer garden, more of a spiritual kind of thing too, either a little corner, whatever. It's all in the head. It hasn't been completely fleshed out. But this idea of all the stuff we do, having a focus of not only making this prettier, nicer, more functional, but also how is this going to touch lives? How is this going to bring us together? How is this going to build up people and make this something where people are going to be more apt to come and be a part of? So in my head, I've got this whole grand scheme, master plan, 3-phase program. And if I hear like grumbling and gnashing of teeth afterwards that we don't like this, then okay, we'll back burner that. But if this is something that we're like, interesting, then I will continue to pursue this and build this out so that we can present it maybe in a month at a voters meeting kind of thing. But yeah, this whole kind of, I've got ideas where we can actually get this done and we can start on this like ASAP. We do have funds to do this. And I think now is a great time. We are growing, we've got people, and we've got people who we want to engage, and we look around and, yes, we see the same faces who always do stuff. It's like, you know what? Thank you. We need you. You are invested in this place, and you know how important this is. Aaron, you're saying how youth group, so yes, we need to build this up and all this other stuff. We need all of your input and your work, and I'm thankful and grateful for everything you do. And I'm thinking, how can we develop this to bring more people up, to raise more of our visitors, our new members, to get them more engaged? Now, this is a different life than what we're all used to, what we remember back in the day growing up. The landscape has changed. Church is not the center of everybody's universe. I mean, church is in the social hub. It's not. It's not going to be, okay? So how are we going to do things with that in mind? All these events are great, and we have just started to dip our toes in the water in the last couple of years of these events that have been bringing more people in. It's fantastic. So I think we have the opportunity to do this. We've got a lot of great ideas, and I'm just really excited about that potential. But behind everything, we need to be thinking about when we do stuff, it's not just to do stuff. Everything we do here is not just, hey, we'd like to do this. You know what? Let's start there. The stuff that you want to do, yes. Let's talk about what you want to do. How then? The next step is, how then are we going to add a component to this? How does this benefit somebody? So like chili cook-off, I'm there. I got a recipe ready. And oftentimes it's like, okay, well, what are we, great. Well, how about, maybe we sell raffle tickets and the money goes to supply our supply pantry or whatever, or it goes to a local charity or something like that. How can we add a component into these things that actually has it more forward focused to, well, yes, we're enjoying it, and through that, we're going out. I'm not just picking on you. I keep looking over at you because I'm hungry and chili sounds good. I know, right? We're having lunch soon, don't worry. So anyway, that is my master plan idea. See me if you want more details on it. Yes? What? Oh, playground, gym, courtyard. 3 phases. Do I have ideas? I have beginnings of ideas, yes. Kerwin knows how to make sound panels. That's a great place to start. Awesome. Well, I mean, sound panels, and we might have, I'm going to be contacting other churches who have done stuff just to get maybe some quotes, just an idea of different options available, yes.
I like this idea, but I also, maybe we have this already, but it seems like it might be valuable to think also about like long-term planning for necessary capital improvements that are going to come up.
Oh,
They might not be urgent
yes,
now, right? Like,
yes.
a 15-year fund for the roof, or like whatever it is, so that there's things that we.
Our roof is great.
I know. Well, I don't know, actually. I'm not thinking about it. But like
Actually, it's pretty good, but there's Paul's smiling.
We have a little bit of tendency to be like, all of a sudden, we need new furnace.
Yes.
We need $20,000. And I think if we had more planning ahead, building, so that when we do need the furnace, it's like the funds are already there.
Sure, absolutely.
Be better, approach. Not that I don't want to do things that are, but like, the soundproofing's not infrastructure. It's valuable and important for other things, but it's not the roof and the
Right.
furnace. And so I think it would be helpful for us, as you're thinking about your long-term plan, to think about that, like, we have to have air conditioning, right? Like, and the playground in some ways is necessary because it's the safety concerns, right?
Yes, absolutely.
But there is an option if we have an unsafe playground to just not have a playground, right? Like, so.
Right.
Like, I'm just thinking about like necessities versus like.
Right.
Wishes, and making sure we're including planning for necessities too.
We do, and we should plan more. We do have a line of credit through CEF actually that we don't touch really. We renew it every year. That we, well, in my mind is like, you know what, those emergencies, new roof, whatever, we do have a nice line of credit that we can tap into that doesn't immediately affect us in terms of like, where'd all this money go? So we do have we have the beginnings of some funding for that, but in terms of planning, that's something where, with Paul, we can get together and we'll go through and point out all these things and like what is what most likely to fall apart first, and it better not be you, Paul. Part of that might be vacation time for Paul and some like little spa getaways for him to keep him up and running, because without him we things might fall apart. Sure. Yeah. Yes. All right. I'll flesh out my three-phase plan more, and then we'll talk in a month.
And maybe we need just a couple of people to, I don't know, we could call it a capital improvement, I hate to use the word committee, maybe group, that studies all of these capital improvements and puts them on a schedule as to when they're going to need to be done, which is kind of what you're talking about. Is that right? Yeah. Right. Yeah. All right. Any other ideas? Okay, so Laura made a wonderful poster. It's out there by the... Okay, she's going to move it down by the lunch area at the gym. And it's for ideas like this. So if you think of something later, if somebody who isn't here says, I wish, you can say, guess what? There's a poster. Go put your idea on the poster. And that way we can continue to look at ideas so that they don't have to be set in stone here, but that things can evolve as the year goes on if we choose to do so. Now, like Pastor said, the idea that we've got all these great ideas, but who's going to do them? And we've been working on a way to make that better and easier, and I don't know if Nathan's going to be able to get it up. Mary, you have some you can pass out, right?
Unfortunately, you've all seen this. This would be new for lots of
Oh,
Yeah.
I'll take it just a second.
Yes, if you have it and you can get it up, do it. Yeah, I'd like one.
By the way, we did have a comment online from Jim Goodhart about, he's up in the Arcadia area now. And he says, we have an Arcadia Care team up here now.
Oh, are you going to talk?
Made up of a group of volunteers from the church who are available to assist other members who have difficulty getting groceries, go to doctors, dentist appointments, and whatnot. And so, yes, that's a wonderful thing. And I even made a comment that we might need to borrow that acronym for the Ascension Care team. So there we go.
All right. Okay, so Nathan's working on getting this up on the computer screen, or on the screen here. And I'd also like to point out that it is a fillable form online. So you don't necessarily have to have a paper copy, but we will have paper copies available. The idea in this is that it helps you organize an event. And one of the things that this new method of doing things is supposed to do is that people don't have to volunteer to be on a committee for 2 years. People can volunteer to do one thing. Joan, Nancy, or Nacy, volunteered to spearhead the Easter breakfast. And she's done. That was a one-time thing. If she doesn't feel she has the time to do it next year, somebody else can do it. And not only would somebody else be able to do it, but they would have her form from the previous year to help them with their planning. So this form has you put down your proposed event and the date and the time. And then it asks for the areas of the church building that you would need to use. If you're thinking that you're going to need a budget to do this, so something like the Easter breakfast definitely would have a budget, because she's going to make sure we need plates and cups and anything else that's needed for that. And then it has the contact person's name, and if it's a group, that would be in there too. There's advertising. So the next section is, when do you want it in the bulletin, in a weekly newsletter? When do you want the announcements to start in church? And when do you want them to end? Do you want it to happen more than once? And then other things, kind of give us an estimate. How many people do you think are going to attend? Food, decorations, supplies, child care, music, setup, cleanup. And then at that point, you're going to turn this in to the office, would be the best place. And the MMD or pastor will look at this, and as long as it fits guidelines, we're not going to have some kind of weird moon worship activity. Probably wouldn't be approved. But if you wanted to have maybe some kind of children's activity on a full moon so that you can listen for frogs or something, that's a different kind of activity. But one of the main things this is going to do is it's going to put a person in charge of the activity. And without that, we can't have an activity.
One of the reasons we did that too was
Mary, use your, is it on?
It's, oh, there it is. Wasn't a minute ago. Oh. So one of the reasons we did this was people maybe wanting to do something and not knowing how to do it and how to go ahead. So this way, it's real simple. You can just, write down what you want to do, and then there's the checklist, and you can go ahead and do it. And then it goes through MMD. If it needs to, pastor will decide if it needs to go through MMD or not. Because there's a lot of people that have great ideas, and it's always the same people doing it. And I think that's what we're trying to get away from, so that, because the same people know exactly what to do, where everything is, and this way, other people can step up and hopefully have some guidelines to be able to do something. And if you notice on the back too, it does talk about cleanup responsibilities, so people are aware of what that is. And Paul's name is on there too, that there is a potential charge if there's a lot of additional cleaning, and so that people understand what all that involves. And I think, yeah, because you have to let Paul know in advance too, so, and he'd get extra payment, I guess. So anyway, just so you know.
And a perfect example of this is the activity Kelly did with the kids in the fall.
Mm-hmm.
It was an idea she had. She went to Pastor. He was like, sounds great, go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
And she did it. She did all of the planning, the gathering,
without the form. She did a
without
great
the
job.
form, but now she would have this. So instead of her having to remember to call the office every time she wanted it in the bulletin or whatever, Debbie will have a copy of this, so she knows.
She has a notebook now in the office, I noticed when I was in there, for these forms, so that it will stay in there. And
Right. And it didn't take forever for that to get approved. She talked to Pastor, he said, go for it. And even if it has
Right.
to go to the MMD, we have a program that we use, and it can just go through the MMD, yes, no, and have an
Fast.
answer within a week.
Mm-hmm.
Heather.
Okay, so just a couple of questions. I'm thinking about like youth events. So, if I would love for some random person to turn in one of these and say, I want to take the kids bowling. Be like, fantastic. But if like we're already planning like a regular thing, like how does all that work?
Okay, so that's more like you're a group or an organization, right, within the church. Yeah, so
We now do have an online calendar that is collecting all the events, every group, whatever, anything going on in church gets posted on there. So part of the approval process, when things get submitted to like somebody says, I want to take the kids to the youth group to this, then part of that would then go like either, here's a link, check the calendar, is that date open? And then it would go to, basically, it'd be submitted to the MMD or me, and then I would take that, or the MMD would take that to whoever is overseeing the youth and saying, hey, is this something that you guys are even interested in? And then is this date available? And then we go from there. I think that's probably the way to go. Is that the question?
I think it kind of is, but I think this is getting more into, is MMD going to micromanage the youth group?
Not so much that, but is this form for just like special events, or is this for like ongoing, or both?
Both.
Okay, so if like I want to say the youth are going to do something once a month, then I would fill out one form and I say it's like the third Friday or whatever, and something is happening.
Pastor, what's your take on that? Because I guess I didn't think about it in that way.
My thought process on this was, that it wouldn't, like the forms are good for collecting like one-off kind of things and sort of that sort of deal. But when we're dealing with something more like Women of Ascension, kind of they plan their own stuff without really needing to worry about some of these things. They'll want to check the calendar, certainly, but
Right.
same thing kind of with the youth and even some other things. If somebody, if it's more of a like, okay, we need a budget, we need this, that, something that's a bigger production, let's call it that, then this is where the forms and the process works out. In terms of when we're doing more like, if somebody says they want to, hey, can we have a little book club where we meet like once, two Thursdays a month?
Mm-hmm.
And then they can ask me, yeah, sure, let's do that. And we wouldn't go through the whole thing. It'd just be like, let's get it on the calendar. and this person is like, that's what they want to do, so run with it, cool.
Right.
So I think it'd be more like that. So it's not necessarily.
But the other thing is that it's possible that you could use this and not have to fill out everything if it's like a youth group activity. But it would definitely allow you to tell Debbie what you want advertised and to get it on the calendar so that you know that that date is reserved for you. Right, but I don't feel that, you know, unless it's a big thing, that you need to go through the MMD to get it approved. But if you wanted to use the form just for your ease and comfort in getting certain things done.
Okay, yeah, I think that was more my question. It's like, what exactly is this for? And then
Yeah.
a suggestion to add for the advertising section. We do a Facebook post.
Oh, Facebook?
Yeah,
Okay.
can we just add that on there?
All right. Mary, do you have a pencil to just make a note of that? Yeah, and so the same thing would go for like Women of Ascension. If you want to fill one of these out, just so that you can give Debbie the information she needs, fine. If you just want to go into the office and tell Debbie what you need and make sure it's on the calendar, do it. Whatever ends up easiest for you.
Made just for like people wanting to do a special, like for me. I made it for me because as a MMD member now, I didn't know how. I mean, if I want to do something, what do I have to do? Do I go to MMD? I mean, it was more like a guidance thing, so people knew that if they wanted to do an activity, they could. But it's more of a checkoff sheet and kind of helpful to get on the calendar and get the get all that set. It was not meant as a policing of everything. You know what I mean? It's good reference. Yeah, it was more of a reference.
No,
thing.
it doesn't look like a policing thing.
Well, I didn't, okay.
Okay.
That's not a very good word
It was
choice,
just
but-
like, so if we're trying to work together, you know, and bring more people in to support, it's more like, okay, so who is using this awesome communication tool is the thing.
Okay.
And if this is serving to make sure that we don't have like two people doing the same thing on two different sides of the church, you know what I mean? Instead of like, we'll work together.
Right.
And, you know, let's be good stewards of our resources, including people's energy, then sweet, this is a great communication tool. So that's why I was like, well, you know, if more people want to work with you, fantastic. So where does, and I'm just using that because
Right.
that's currently what I'm doing. But if somebody else wants to hop in and do something, great. But if Fran and I kind of already have a plan in mind, well, we would love to just fit somebody in to that existing
Right.
plan.
Well, and I think that's kind of plan that if you want to do something,
Then hopefully someone will be able to see on here who's, and then MMD or pastor will be able to say, oh, well, you know, this, you want to do this, well, you need to check with Heather and Fran first, because they're already doing that, so that at least then people know what the other person is doing, like you said, from one side of the church to the other. That was more of the
Yeah, the MMD
idea.
is more facilitator than manager.
Yeah. And obviously, if someone has a, yeah.
If it's going to be a good communication tool, then that's what, you know, whatever we plan to do for the summer, like we need, even if it's just one thing, you know, if we designate like one weekend a month that the kids are going to do something, or even specific dates through the summer, like this is something that the kids are going to do, and then somebody's like, hey, I want to take them to the lake. Great. Here's the dates we already set aside. Which one do you want? That would be fantastic, honestly.
Right.
If it
And
went
I
that
would
way.
say at that point, if someone were to fill something out saying they wanted to do something with the youth group, then we would pass it on to you or whoever is in charge. But on the other hand, if like Erin wants to volunteer her media room for a movie night, she can just talk to you directly. She doesn't have to fill out a form for something that is going through another group. Okay? Julie, did you have something?
My comment was, I think it would be helpful to have more clarity about what requires MMD approval in general.
Okay.
Because when I planned the youth fundraiser, for example, I struggled a little bit with like, do I have to tell them? Like, do they have to sign off? How long is that going to take? When's their next meeting? Can I just do it? Right. And I think on the form it can be pastor or MMD, which is helpful.
Right.
But I think sometimes like just some principles about, if you want to spend church funds, you should have approval, or if you need it on the calendar, like something like that would be good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the way it's been working so far is most of the MMD requests funnel through me, just because that's where the email goes to. So it starts with me, and then I kind of work to say like, okay, you're good, or let me throw it to the MMD. So, yeah.
Right, right. Yes.
Stuff like that.
I mean, is there a different?
I mean, what do they fill out if they're,
Like
so
a-
they know about the cleaning and the,
For like a wedding or a funeral for
yeah.
maybe not a member.
We have kind of a different sort of workflow for like funerals. I mean, we have like a separate thing that's been worked up for that.
Yes, because everything there goes through you.
Yeah. So that's why this event form is not a, definitely don't look at this as, if you want to do anything in church, no matter what it is, you need to use the form. This is a tool that's going to be useful as far as bridging the gap between the way that we used to do things via committee, okay, and this is kind of bridging that gap. But things like, currently for funerals, for weddings, we have people who already kind of know what to do, and so we'll address that with those individuals and whatnot.
This is more for like, we have so many people that are like, I want to do a chili cook-off, but I don't know how to plan it. Here you go, here's a checklist that helps.
Right. Or is it even okay if I do a chili cook-off?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You want wine? No.
Okay, Rebecca.
Part of that, I spoke with Carolyn just recently based on something that came up during Women of Ascension. Some of the things that happen at our church, i.e. the Lansing Matinee Musicale and some of the recitals and that sort of thing, there is a contract that these people do sign. Because of some of our discussion at Women of Ascension, I did talk to Carolyn. The contract that has been being used is something apparently that our insurance company helped us figure out. And so it's a real basic thing. But because of some of the things that we have had some concerns about or questions about, we are going to amend that a little bit to make it really more specific for our facility. But that might possibly be part of weddings. A lot of that is mainly for people that are somewhat outside of our congregation, where a wedding more than likely would be someone in our congregation. So there's a little bit of crossover that might be there, but there is a contract that is used.
Right, and something like that, use of the church by an outside organization would go through the properties manager and the MMD, and it would be a contract as opposed to this. And in the case of like a wedding, they would need to talk to pastor first anyway. And then if anyone else needed to be involved, he would do that. Right. Mm-hmm. Right. And the calendar that Pastor has set up is also going to be very helpful. Is it on our website yet, Pastor?
It is, yes.
Okay, so it's on the website. It's interactive. You can check by date. You can check by the people who actually use the church. So like if you click on homeschool, it'll show you which days the homeschool group has the church reserved. If you want to see if the gym is available on a certain date, you can click on gym and the date, and it will show you whether or not it's reserved. So we cannot go in and add our events, but you can definitely see what is being planned at the church and what things it's been reserved for already. And then if you plan an activity like this, or if a contract comes in for use of the church, then the office will be in charge of adding that to the calendar. We don't want too many people changing things. It makes a mess. Oh, Nathan pulled it up for you so you can see what it is. See, he has interest groups up right there. There's also, I believe, a section on which part of the building is reserved. So if you click on, those are okay, so if you click on chapel, say. Okay, so it cleared everything else out, but you see that the homeschool group uses the chapel on Fridays, the Fridays that they meet, and the Coptics use it on Saturdays, so they're on there. If you wanted to use the chapel for something on like a Tuesday, it looks like it's free. So then you could start your planning process and know that it's free at that time. It's
our website, ascensioneastlansing.org, and then there's a menu item for events. You just click events, and that takes you to the calendar.
Yeah. All right, any other questions, comments?
It's the main website, sorry, my laptop for some reason was putting all locked up. I picked it today for some reason.
Okay. All right. Well, if there are no more comments, then I think let's just go ahead and close with a prayer, Pastor. And I've been told lunch is ready in the gym.
All right, yes. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you again for the opportunity to come together to talk about all the things that we want to do, all the things that we can do, and we are excited to see all the things that you are going to do through us here. We thank you for everybody who is a part of this. We thank you for everybody who has put all their time and effort into making this happen. And now as we prepare to enjoy this meal together, that we thank all those who have prepared the food, have set it out for us to enjoy this time. We thank you so much for your abundant blessings. So together we pray the common table prayer. Come, Lord Jesus, be our guest. Let these gifts to us be blessed. Amen.